Hey, what's happening, Disney Viewers? Me, the Guy01, and welcome to this week's Versus episode on the Walkthrough channel. Now, if you have been keeping up with the news surrounding WWE the past few days, you'll know exactly why this week's episode is Dolph Ziggler against Shelton Benjamin. But in case you haven't, well, we'll get to that in a second. But first thing I should mention is this is not a birthday versus like we normally do. There were a few birthdays this week. You had Eva Marie and Renee Young's birthdays on the 19th, turning 39 and 38 respectively. You had Matt Hardy's birthday on today. He's turning 49, but none of those three people are in WWE, so it would have been kind of difficult to do that. But, having said that, that's also kind of why we're doing Dolph Ziggler Shelton Benjamin. So a few days ago, WWE announced that due to budget cuts that came as a result of the merger with UFC and Endeavor, they would be releasing a lot of people. And apparently this was something that was kind of known going in with the merger. Maybe not from the very beginning, but it's something that people kind of knew was coming for a while. So after the merger was finalized last week, forming TKO, it basically was confirmed that WWE would be taking a series of actions as a result of budget cuts. One of those is apparently SmackDown getting moved to USA, I heard. I guess being on Fox is expensive, so it's getting moved to the USA network to save money, which I don't really get, but okay. But the other big thing that came out of it was a huge amount of releases that came across both the main roster and NXT. Basically, it was anyone who's not currently involved in a current storyline got released. That's what it came across as. Because there's some pretty prominent figures in there. The two big shocking ones were Dolph Ziggler and Shelton Benjamin. I mean, you have Dolph Ziggler, someone who's been in WWE for close to 20 years. You know, multiple time world champion, Grand Slam champion. And, you know, you got Shelton Benjamin, who is a guy who, you know, they brought back a few years ago and felt like they had big plans for, but never really did anything. But recently, you know, it almost seems like they're planning to do something with him. But yeah, so when that came out, so in addition to the two of them, you also had Dana Brooke, Mason Mansour of Maximum Male Models, Shanky, Mustafa Ali, Elias. You know, remember Elias, guy who was one of the most over characters in like what 2018, 2019. Yep, he's gone. Rick Boogs, Riddick Moss, Emma, who I feel like they literally brought back only a few months ago, and it's now they brought her back, had her wrestle maybe once or twice, and now she's gone again. Aaliyah, who is someone who, you know, it seemed like WWE had big plans for. They seemed to be really high on her for a second, but again, when's the last time you even remember seeing her wrestle? And just recently, I think it was really just yesterday afternoon, like Friday afternoon, it was announced that Matt Riddle was also released. So that's like, when the first big wave of, you know, releases came, Dolph Ziggler was the name everyone was talking about, because, you know, it's Dolph Ziggler. Guy's been around in WWE for non-stop for about 20 years. He was the one who got like the biggest reaction from getting released, because, you know, ever since WWE started doing these mass releases, starting with the pandemic in 2020, Dolph Ziggler was the one guy who was like, if his name showed up on a list, you'd kind of you wouldn't be surprised, but it also still kind of stink. He was the guy who you were relieved he wasn't part of that list, but you knew there was that possibility that he very well could have been on that list. But it's weird seeing him on that list now, especially since it feels like WWE's in a really good place financially. I mean, you have the whole merger with UFC and Endeavor. Ratings are up. Ticket and pay-per-view sales are up. I mean, it doesn't seem like they were in a position where they needed to make all these cuts, but I guess they were. Now, that's what I was saying. When that first huge wave happened, Dolph was the one everyone was talking about. Riddle just got released, so that news is still getting around. That hasn't even made the rounds yet, really. So I think that's going to be, you know, the name that everyone's going to be like, wow, really? Because again, I feel like they just brought him back just not too long ago. Like he was injured, then they brought him back just a few weeks ago, I feel like. But again, it's like that thing. This is why I was saying it felt like they were just releasing anyone who wasn't currently involved in a storyline. Because it definitely wasn't like a popularity thing. I mean, again, people like Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, Elias, Matt Riddle. Now, Matt Riddle, apparently there were more reasons behind him getting released than the other people. Apparently he was separate from these mass releases. He was like his own situation. But, you know, you've got all these people like Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, Elias, Mustafa Ali, these guys who, you know, sure, they may not be the most over people, but or fan favorite, but you know, you look at someone like Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, they're considered two of the most underrated wrestlers WWE has ever had, and the two most underutilized people WWE have ever had. You've got someone like Elias, who, like I said, was one of the most over wrestlers like not too long ago. I mean, this was a guy who was having segments with John Cena and The Undertaker. So, I mean, heck of a run for him, but, you know, seems like he was a guy that WWE just dropped the ball with. So, anyway, that's what's been going on in terms of, like, news of WWE, which is why I'm doing this match for this week's Versus. So, moving on to Raw. Cody Rhodes beat Dominic Mysterio. Kofi Kingston beat Ivar in what was supposed to be a tag team match, but Eric wasn't able to compete. Uh-oh. Oh no. Ow. Ooh. Shinsuke Nakamura faced Ricochet. Ricochet ended up getting disqualified after attacking Nakamura with a steel chair. After the match, Nakamura took out Ricochet. Seth Rollins came down to attack Nakamura. Nakamura was able to fight him off and ended up taking out Rollins. Okay. Oop, okay. Oh no. No! Alright, here we go. Oh. Piper Niven and Chelsea Green faced Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. The match didn't get really too far before Nia Jax came out and took out everyone. And that was another thing that people were really upset by. You bring back Nia Jax and then you let go all of these other people. I mean, again, no offense to Nia Jax, but I mean, no one's really happy to see her back. I mean, when you have a reputation of someone who is dangerous, and not like a good dangerous kind of thing, like someone who just like isn't good at what they do and it affects the well-being of others, that's not a good reputation to have. And I'm sure she's doing everything she can to avoid the reputation, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, they even referenced it on TV with Dominic Mysterio saying that Rhea Ripley got injured by Nia Jax last week, which is why she wasn't on Raw. You know, and there were rumors that that was actually true. that wasn't scripted, that Rhea was legitimately injured as part of that segment. And if that is true, which I'm not saying it is, that's just a rumor that's been thrown out, not a great way to come back. I mean, literally your first appearance back and you injure probably the most important female wrestler on the roster right now. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Bronson Reed beat Chad Gable. Becky Lynch beat Natalya to retain the NXT Women's title. In case you guys didn't know, Becky Lynch won the NXT Women's title recently. And is now defending it on the main roster, which is weird, but okay. Oh god, run! Tommaso Ciampa beat Giovanni Vinci of Imperium. And in the main event, Drew McIntyre faced Jey Uso. The Judgment Day came out to ringside after several segments of them trying to recruit Jey to the Judgment Day. Jey ended up taking out the Judgment Day members at ringside, which gave an opening for Drew McIntyre to hit the Claymore kick and beat Jey. After the match, Judgment Day then ran in and started to attack Jey Uso, which led to Cody Rhodes running down to make the save and helping Jey Uso fight off the Judgment Day. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes if Jey and Cody are now like the unlikely duo. And basically, it'll be interesting to see if like the story becomes them trying to convince Drew to trust Jey or trust Kevin Owens to trust Jey, which was an implied storyline at the beginning of the night. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this. Moving on with SmackDown. Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar beat the Street Profits, which seems kind of weird since it seems like the Street Profits are in a position where you want to give them as much momentum as possible since they're trying to establish them as a new dominant faction alongside Bobby Lashley. So it was weird to have them lose. Io Sky beat Asuka to retain the WWE Women's title in what was probably match of the night. Actually, no, it was very easily match of the night. Probably match of the week as well. And it's safe to say that the majority of the show was spent building up to that match, which ended up going about 20 minutes. Which is plenty of time for those two. And it's weird that I don't know. For me, it's kind of weird that they decided to use just, I don't want to say waste the match, but, you know, have it on regular TV. I mean, that could have been a Fastlane match. Very easily. I mean, literally do the same match on Fastlane. Like, same match, step for step. It would have been perfectly acceptable for a pay-per-view. So it feels weird that they kind of use it on free TV. Moving on, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory beat Butch and Ridge Holland. And in the final segment of the night was supposed to be a contract signing for a tag team match of John Cena and AJ Styles against Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa at Fastlane. But before the contract signing could take place, it was revealed that Solo had taken out AJ backstage and had taken him out of action. Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso then beat up on John Cena before signing the contract. So now the story is who's going to be Cena's partner for Fastlane for this tag team match. And, you know, the name that's getting thrown around by fans is LA Knight. You know, after his whole thing with John Cena, what was it? What was the last pay-per-view? Would have been SummerSlam, right? Yeah. And, you know, it just makes sense to put LA Knight in a match with John Cena. I mean, as partners. And that's the kind of exposure you want that guy to have, right? And this is more just me kind of wishful thinking here, but wouldn't it be amazing if Randy Orton returned as John Cena's partner? I mean, wouldn't that just be amazing? I mean, that's just me, but could you imagine? That's how you bring him back, right? Have him return as John Cena's partner. And good night. I mean, that seems like almost like perfectly like scripted way to bring him back. I mean, the door is could not be wider for that. And that's it for SmackDown. Like I said, not a lot on SmackDown. There was only, what, 3 matches? And really only 4 super notable segments in total. Like I said, most of the time was dedicated to that Io Sky Asuka match, which is fitting since it was a title match. But yeah. So, that is it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the recent releases. Do you see them as necessary? Do you think WWE released the right people, or do you think they should have held on to some of these people and released some others? What do you guys think of Raw and SmackDown this past week? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and make videos all the time. Stay tuned for next week's Versus episode, and next week where we continue our Batman Arkham Asylum walkthrough. Hope you guys enjoyed. Guy01 and Dolph Ziggler signing out. Bye, guys.